Chosen one, this message is not reaching you randomly, and it is not speaking to the crowd, it is speaking directly to you. God placed something rare inside you long before you understood language, long before you had words for purpose, long before the world began trying to shape you into something smaller. That rarity has always been present, quietly pulsing beneath your thoughts, guiding your instincts, separating you without your permission. You have felt it most clearly in moments when the world felt too loud for your spirit, when the constant noise, urgency, and performance of life felt strangely incompatible with the stillness inside you. That inner quiet was never emptiness. It was never confusion. It was alignment forming. While others grew louder to survive, you grew quieter to hear. And there came a season when that silence deepened, not because you were lost, but because heaven was recalibrating you. God was tuning your inner frequency so that what He placed inside you would not be distorted by fear, distraction, or premature exposure. This moment is intentional. You are not late. You are not overlooked. Every delay, every pause, every season of waiting was divinely timed so that when recognition arrived, you would have the capacity to carry it. God does not awaken what He has not prepared. And right now, heaven is acknowledging what it planted in you from the beginning. This is the recognition of the rare, not as ego, not as separation, but as responsibility. You are not being elevated above others. You are being activated into alignment. You never fit in because you were never designed to blend. The frequency you carry was never meant to dissolve into ordinary systems. It was meant to expose them. From early on, you sensed that something about you didn't fully integrate into rooms, relationships, and environments that others seemed comfortable in. That discomfort was not social failure or emotional weakness. It was spiritual incompatibility. Your design could not be sustained by spaces built for conformity. You weren't rejected, you were preserved. God allowed you to feel out of place so you would never confuse survival with belonging. Isolation was not abandonment, it was preparation. While others were learning how to adapt to systems, you were being trained to discern them. You were sent to shift structures, not reinforce them. That is why pretending exhausted you. That is why compromise felt like suffocation. Every time you tried to reduce yourself to fit, your spirit resisted because it recognized danger before your mind could explain it. The loneliness sharpened your awareness. The separation refined your hearing. Heaven was protecting the integrity of your frequency until you were strong enough to stand in it without apology. You were not hidden because you were unworthy. You were hidden because you were powerful. Being chosen has nothing to do with being louder, stronger, or more visible than others. God does not select based on performance. He selects based on purity of design. You are chosen because what He placed inside you cannot be replicated. It cannot be copied, manufactured, or replaced. That is why comparison always felt unnatural to you. That is why no blueprint ever fully fit. You are drawn to this message not by curiosity, but by spiritual gravity. Something in your soul recognized the signal before your mind engaged the words. In this season, heaven has quietly highlighted your name, not publicly yet, but spiritually, and when God highlights, alignment follows. The seed He placed inside you is hidden on purpose, buried beneath ordinary days, responsibility, and misunderstanding so it could grow without interference. Rare things must mature in obscurity. If exposed too early, they are damaged. What you are sensing now is not a new calling being introduced, it is an old one being remembered. God is not asking you to become someone else. He is asking you to return to what He originally designed. That internal stirring you've been feeling is not restlessness, it is response. The seed inside you is reacting to pressure, light, and timing. For years, it remained dormant beneath survival mode, distractions, obligations, and self-doubt, but pressure always precedes emergence. The ground within you has been trembling because preparation creates movement before manifestation. What feels like disruption is actually divine positioning. Your soul is not breaking, it is opening. Cracks are not failure, they are release points. The emotional waves, the sudden clarity followed by silence, the sense that something is about to change without knowing how, these are activation signals. Heaven is communicating beyond logic now. And the more you resist rushing, the more alignment completes itself naturally. This is not the season to force answers. This is the season to remain present, receptive, and still enough to hear what is awakening within you. This moment is not passive. It is participatory. When you write warm wishes for yourself and others, when you type 99 with intention, you are not performing for visibility. You are signaling agreement. In the spiritual realm, intention is currency and alignment responds to consent. Engagement becomes activation when it is conscious. You are choosing resonance. You are affirming readiness. Liking, subscribing, staying present, these are not mechanical actions. They are energetic decisions when done with awareness. You are saying yes to the frequency calling you forward. This is not about numbers. This is about alignment, recognizing alignment. And the moment you agree internally, the activation begins externally. Chosen one, the weight you carried was never random, and it was never excessive, it was specific. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every delay disciplined your patience. Every internal battle strengthened your authority in ways comfort never could. You often wondered why life felt heavier for you than for others, why progress required endurance instead of ease, why nothing seemed to unfold the normal way. But you were not living an imagined destiny, you were being trained for an assigned mission. God could not afford to let you mature casually. Your path looked unusual because it had to shape muscles others would never need. Being misunderstood was not a flaw in your character, it was confirmation of your rarity. Pressure followed you because purpose attracts resistance long before it attracts recognition. If the weight felt unbearable at times, it's because what you carry is substantial. Training always feels like opposition to those who don't yet see the outcome. You were never being punished. You were being prepared under conditions designed to refine, not to break. And even when you felt unseen, heaven was watching closely, adjusting the intensity just enough to ensure growth without destruction. You survived because you were meant to. The world taught you to measure success by applause, numbers, and visible milestones, but those metrics were never designed to assess eternal assignments. If God had allowed you to rise through performance alone, your purpose would have been diluted by validation. That is why applause was delayed. That is why recognition arrived slowly. Heaven was guarding your alignment. Your success was being measured energetically, by impact, by integrity, by how much truth you could carry without compromise. Divine isolation was not rejection, it was signal purification. God removed excess noise so your frequency could stabilize. Fire was not sent to destroy you, it was sent to burn away imitation and leave only what was authentic. What remains after the fire is what heaven trusts. And what heaven trusts, it eventually reveals. You were not falling behind, you were being fortified. Your influence was being built from the inside out, not the outside in. Before responsibility hardened you, before disappointment taught you caution, before survival demanded conformity, you already knew. There were visions, instincts, inner pictures you couldn't explain but never forgot. Even as life tried to shrink you, something inside refused to fully settle. That restlessness was not rebellion, it was protection. The seed inside you refused to grow in soil that could not sustain it. You outgrew spaces quickly because evolution was always required. What others called instability was actually obedience to growth. And though the weight increased, you carried it with resilience, with quiet strength, with grace that surprised even you. You didn't lose the vision, you carried it through darkness. Now, memory is activating. Not imagination, not fantasy, but remembrance. God is not introducing something new. He is reawakening what He showed you long ago. And this time, you are strong enough to hold it. What you are experiencing now is not collapse, it is calibration. The sensations in your body, the emotional waves that rise without warning, the moments of clarity followed by deep stillness are not signs that something is wrong. They are signals that something ancient within you is activating. Resonance always feels physical before it becomes visible. Your soul recognizes truth before your mind can label it, and that recognition creates movement, tension, and release. This is not a breakdown of identity, it is the shedding of one. Old containers are cracking because they can no longer hold the frequency you are carrying. Environments that once felt familiar now feel restrictive. Conversations that once felt normal now feel draining. That is not arrogance or avoidance. It is alignment correcting itself. Your rare frequency is rejecting misaligned spaces automatically, without negotiation, because survival mode is ending. What looks like loss is actually filtration. What feels like instability is the beginning of coherence. The breakthrough does not always arrive as excitement. Sometimes it arrives as quiet certainty. And that certainty is settling into you now. You are being called out of hiding, not by force and not by performance, but by alignment. For so long, effort felt necessary, proving, explaining, pushing, and positioning just to be seen. But now alignment is replacing striving. Your presence is becoming your voice. Your stillness is becoming your authority. You no longer need to be loud because resonance carries further than volume. When you speak now, it lands. When you move now, it shifts rooms. God is opening doors not because you chased them, but because you stayed obedient when no one was watching. What once required exhaustion now unfolds with ease because alignment removes friction. You are learning that visibility and divine timing does not demand force. It responds to obedience. And as you step forward without self-promotion, the right eyes will recognize you naturally. Authority does not announce itself. It reveals itself. There is an internal upgrade happening now, one that shifts you from merely enduring life to actively fulfilling why you were sent. Survival taught you resilience, but assignment requires presence. You are no longer operating from fear of loss or urgency to prove yourself. Repositioning is happening first within you, how you see yourself, how you value your time, how you respond to pressure. You no longer need approval, validation, or explanation to move forward. You are releasing the need to justify your pace, because divine timing is not rushed by comparison. What once felt like delay is now revealing itself as calibration. God slowed you down so your identity could stabilize before your influence expanded. And now, as alignment completes, you are stepping into a version of yourself that no longer asks, "Can I?" but instead moves with the certainty of, "I was sent." This is not a small shift. This is a foundational one. You are no longer just getting through life. You are stepping into your assignment. Chosen one, your journey could never mirror anyone else's because what you were entrusted with required a different kind of endurance. Rare callings demand uncommon resilience, and that is why your process felt heavier, longer, and more isolating than most. God could not rush what needed depth. While others were developing publicly, you were being strengthened privately. Hidden seasons were not pauses, they were structural reinforcement. The weight you carried was shaping your capacity, not testing your worth. Heaven was never disappointed in you. God watched with joy, knowing exactly why each step took the time it did. You are being preserved for precision, reserved for a moment that required maturity, discernment, and stability. If your life had unfolded faster, the foundation would not have held. What felt like delay was actually careful craftsmanship. You were not overlooked. You were being set aside for timing that could not be rushed without risk. And now, as that timing approaches, the weight you carried is revealing itself as strength. There comes a moment when waiting transforms into partnership. And that moment is arriving now. You are no longer asking heaven for permission. You are aligning with what has already been decided. Confusion is giving way to certainty, not because every detail is clear, but because direction is. You can see now that losses were not punishments. They were filtration points, removing what could not move forward with you. Loyalty to the future is overtaking attachment to the past. Old versions of yourself, old relationships, old expectations are gently falling away because they are no longer in agreement with where you are going. This is the phase where prayer evolves into cooperation. You listen, you move, you respond. There is an unspoken agreement forming between your soul and heaven, a quiet yes that carries more power than noise ever could. You are no longer waiting for a sign. You are becoming one. You are entering an understanding that changes everything. You are the platform. You no longer need to pursue visibility, validation, or positioning because what you carry generates recognition naturally. Divine authority is not borrowed, it is embodied. Influence flows from alignment, not from exposure. That is why chasing never felt right to you. Your impact was always designed to be organic, rooted in authenticity rather than trend following. What you are building is generational, not seasonal. Eternal timing overrides human schedules, and heaven is never late. As you stand fully in who you are without striving, doors will open because they recognize authority, not effort. You are no longer trying to be seen, you are allowing yourself to be revealed. And that revelation is happening at exactly the right time. Chosen one, this is where the shift becomes undeniable, because the season of forcing is ending and the season of attracting is beginning. What is changing now is not just what happens around you, but how life responds to you. For a long time, everything felt like effort to be understood, effort to be recognized, effort to keep things together, effort to move forward while carrying invisible weight. But rare frequency does not operate by exhaustion. It operates by alignment. When your inner world comes into agreement with your divine assignment, you no longer have to chase what was always meant to find you. That is why you may notice people thinking about you without you reaching out, opportunities appearing without you pursuing them, conversations opening without you initiating them. This is not coincidence. This is magnetism. Your frequency is stabilizing, and alignment always creates attraction. The right people recognize the signal instinctively. The wrong ones quietly drift away without drama. There is often a strange silence before this shift fully manifests. A calm, a pause, a stillness that can feel unsettling if you don't understand it. But silence always comes before waves. Heaven clears the noise so movement can be precise. Fear begins to loosen its grip because you no longer feel like you are running out of time. Peace replaces urgency, not because everything is finished, but because everything is finally aligned. You may even notice that your growth is outpacing your surroundings. Your thoughts expanding faster than your environment, your awareness stretching beyond old limits, your tolerance for misalignment decreasing. That is not impatience. That is elevation. You are no longer moving at the speed of survival, but at the speed of purpose. Effort is being replaced by resonance. Resistance is being replaced by recognition. And as this magnetic shift completes itself, you will realize that what once required struggle now responds to presence. You are not attracting because you want, you are attracting because you are ready. Chosen one, this is the moment when hiding ends, not because you are being pushed forward, but because there is nothing left to conceal. Full revelation does not arrive as exposure, it arrives as permission. Permission to stand without shrinking, to speak without self-editing, to exist without disguising the depth of what you carry. For a long time, self-protection felt necessary. You learned to dim your insight, soften your truth, and guard your presence because not every environment was safe for your frequency. But the season of camouflage is over. What once needed covering has matured into stability. You are no longer fragile in what you carry, you are anchored in it. Standing fully awake means you are no longer negotiating with fear before moving. It means you recognize when intuition speaks and you trust it without debate. The world is more ready for what you carry than you realize, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Alignment has removed distortion. When you show up now, life responds differently. Conversations shift. Rooms adjust. Resistance weakens. You are no longer fighting to be understood. You are allowing truth to speak for itself. Smallness is dissolving, not as arrogance, but as accuracy. You are no longer protecting potential. You are releasing it. What once felt overwhelming now feels clear. What once felt dangerous now feels inevitable. And as you stand revealed, not exposed, but recognized, you will sense a quiet confirmation settling in your spirit. You are not early, you are not late, and you are no longer asleep. You are awake, positioned, and ready to be seen exactly as you are. Chosen one, this is the confirmation your spirit has been waiting for, even when your mind could not name it. Every time you heard, "not yet," it was never a denial, it was protection. Heaven was not withholding from you, it was aligning everything around you so that when the release came, it would be sustained, not sabotaged. Timing in the divine realm is not about delay, it is about agreement. And now, the atmosphere finally matches the assignment. The resistance that once slowed you down has weakened because your frequency has matured. What used to require explanation now carries authority on its own. You no longer need to convince, prove, or pursue. Alignment is doing the work for you. Your presence commands attention without demanding it. Your clarity organizes chaos without force. The rare thing God placed inside you is no longer dormant, guarded, or hidden. It is awake. It has weight. It has direction. And it is ready. This is the season when preparation converts into manifestation, when unseen faith becomes visible fruit. You may still feel a quietness around you, but this is not emptiness, it is anticipation. Heaven moves with precision, not panic. What is about to unfold will feel natural, even though it has been long in coming. The world is about to witness what heaven has always known, not because you announced yourself, but because alignment made you undeniable. You were never forgotten. You were never late. You were being readied. And now the rare is ready, the timing is confirmed, and what God placed inside you will no longer remain unseen.